はいどうも、人生かきいろです。俺たちと PS4 で40代プレイということですね。今回プレイするソフトは、シャーロックホームズ罪と罰になります。よろしくお願いいたします。ちょっと設定いろいろかかりますんで、少々お待ちくださいね。すいません。今日はね、4話目の、事件に挑むわけなんですけども、ちょっとトイレ行ってきます。すいません。はい、お待たせしております。じゃあ、そろそろやっていきましょうか。再開。アビー屋敷の事件ですね、今回は。
The game is afoot, not a word. Into your clothes and come. I'll wait for you in the sitting room. I've just received a note from Inspector Lestrade, a letter from the suburbs. He is in need of my presence. Whenever he has asked for my assistance, it has always turned out to be entirely justified. I fancy that every one of his cases has found its way into your collection.
Yes, they all seem worthy of...
However, I regret your fatal habit of looking at everything from the point of view of a story instead of a scientific exercise.
Oh, Holmes, you...
I beg your pardon, I digress. It would be much better to examine this letter than to try to convince you.
相変わらずだ、このばあさん。
The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should take a look.
I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson's cold cuts.
机の上
The letter is on the table, Holmes. You should
こ
take
う
a look.
か。
I can tell from Lestrade's handwriting that he was in a hurry when he wrote this letter. A wax seal with the monogram E.B. The Brackenstall family coat of arms.
早く来てくれと。
So, what is it, Holmes?
早く来いって。
Promising, as always, it appears to be a case of murder.
So you believe that Sir Eustace is dead?
I should say so. Lestrade wouldn't have sent for me for less. His writing shows considerable agitation, and he is not an emotional man. These people belong to high society. The quality of the writing paper,
上流社会
the
か。
monogram, their coat of arms. The crime was committed before midnight.
12時前。
How can you possibly tell?
Well, it is all thanks to Lestrade. He wrote his letter at 3:30 in the morning. Imagine the chain of events before that. The local police had to be called in. Scotland Yard was notified. Lestrade himself had to make haste there, and finally compose the letter he sent to me. All of that makes for a fair night's work.
It makes sense. Lestrade also speaks of the woman he released.
That seems to indicate that she had been held somewhere during the crime. Much time has been wasted. Let us find a cab and go to Abbey Grange immediately. I live in hope of an interesting morning.
じゃあ行きましょう。なかなかいい家だなこれ。
Mr. Holmes and Dr. Watson, here you are. I'm very glad that you have come, but perhaps I should not have troubled you after all.
And why is that?
Lady Brackenstall has come to her senses, and she has given so clear an account of the affair that there is not much left for us to do. You remember that Lewisham gang of burglars?
What, the three Randalls?
Exactly. The father and two sons. It's their work. They stole a silver service, which is of great value.
Sir Eustace Brackenstall is dead, then?
Yes. His head was knocked in with his own poker.
A violent act of aggression.
Yes, the poor lady. She has had a most dreadful experience. She was assaulted and tied to a chair. But I think that you would best see her and hear her account of the facts. She's in the morning room with her maid to raise a
奥さん
rod.
か。
Where is the body of the deceased?
In the dining room. We haven't touched anything.
All right, I'm going to examine it.
Very good, Watson.
どこが
Lord Ramsay Brackenstall. Lord Brigham Brackenstall. Sir Warthen Brackenstall.
歴代ってことか。
Ladies, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting Inspector Lestrade in this investigation.
Mr. Holmes, I am the wife of Sir Eustace Brackenstall. We were married only a year ago.
I am sorry for your loss. Please accept my deepest condolences.
I suppose that it is no use my attempting to conceal that our marriage has not been a happy one. I fear that all would tell you
え
that,
らい
even
怪我してる
though I won't
な。
attempt to deny it.
虐待がすげえな。オーストラリア製なんだ。絶対指輪出てくるよな。調べるときに。古い傷跡。あとなんだろうな。他が、もう一個ぐらい出てきてもいいんだけど。なんだろう。どうも出てこねえ。これか？青ざめた方。
Can you describe to me the events of yesterday evening?
Is it really necessary? I have already told Inspector Lestrade all that happened.
Yes, madam, it is.
I will tell you then. Sir Eustace retired about 10:30. I sat in this room
10
until
時
after
半
11,
頃。
absorbed in a book. Before I went upstairs, I entered the dining room to fetch a candle and... Oh God.
Please, go on.
As I approached the French window, I found myself face to face with an elderly, broad-shouldered man who had just stepped into the room. Close behind the first man, I saw two others. One of them struck me a savage blow with his fist and felled me unconscious to the ground.
And
そう
then,
なんだ。
When I came to myself, I found that they had secured me
食
tightly
堂
to
の
a
椅子
dining
に。
room chair. It was at that instant my unfortunate husband entered the room.
あ、
he
奥さんは暴
fought
漢にやられ
the
たのか。
intruders?
Yes, I think he had hurt them, for he was holding his stick. But they were three, and he eventually succumbed. One of them, The elder
皮
one
下
struck
希
him
望
a
で一撃
terrible blow
い
with
た
the poker.
いて
Fainted once more. When I opened my eyes, they had withdrawn. Then my brave Teresa came to my assistance.
Did these three villains steal anything?
Yes, I found that they had taken the silver from the sideboard, but you can see for yourself in the dining room.
You mentioned that your marriage was not a happy one. Was there anything specific that was troubling you?
He was not a nice man when he was drunk,
陰鬱症
and he
か
suffered from dark
いかん
moods like
ね
madness.
The bruises on your hands are at least 1 week old. Your husband caused those
やっ
bruises?
ぱり虐待はあったんだな
How do you... Yes, he did. He was very angry at the time. Out of control. Again. Sir Eustace was a drunkard. To be tied to such a man for life is worse than death.
Your ladyship?
じゃあこの使用人にも聞こうか
Teresa, I would like to hear your testimony.
Certainly, sir.
とりあえずこの人も聞いとこう思ったより年もうちょっと若いかと思ったんだけどな違うのか巣の匂い労働者の手すごいな
As I sat by my bedroom window, I saw 3 men in the moonlight down by the lodge gate. But I thought nothing of it at the time. Oh, if I'd known.
And then?
I went to bed, and it was more than an hour after that I heard my mistress scream. And down I ran, to
頭
find
を
her
割って
tied
倒
to
れ
the
てい
chair
る
and
の
him
発
on the
見
floor with his head smashed. That's all I know.
ここにはない気がするけどそんなもん
A trapper's hut. This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid Teresa was taken at a port, but which one? So the lady and her maid
1年
came
半
from
前か
Australia a year and a half ago on this ship.
ほほうこれだっか他は特にないのな
The description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article.
Hmm. まだよくわかんねえな。怖っ。
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
A decanter standing next to the open bottle. An inseparable pair indeed. There is beeswing at the bottom, as if the wine had not been decanted before being poured. This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. Chateau Calon Ségur, French wine, Grand Cru. This glass has some wine traces,
檻が入っ
but
ていない。
no visible
檻ってなんだ
beeswing.
な。
It is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other two are clear.
ロダナ
It appears that the bell rope was cut by someone taller than me.
なるほど。
A fur trader's cabin.
そうそう、下にかかるか。
So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
Well, I can confirm that
Soxy.
the death was instant. Sir Eustace was facing his attacker when he received the blow to his head. There are no other apparent injuries.
The head was cracked with the force of the blow. That must be the murder
う
weapon.
ん、これだな、確かに。
Quite a large stick, a formidable weapon. Barefoot, he had therefore been in bed
ああ、
and did
そう
not have
か。
time
まあ、そりゃそうだ
to
よな。
fully
寝
dress.
起きだったら果たしだろうな。
It is covered in blood. Sir Eustace might have struck his head upon it while falling from the
ま
blow.
あね。
That is one possible explanation.
.今日早いな。こっちがあるね。まだ。って考えると、まだまだちょっとよくわからないことが多いな。
A deer hunt.
あ、ここにある。
Sailor's knots. That's interesting.
怒り結びってやつ
This
か、
was
わさの。
handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail. I will take it with me. This is the chair that Lady Brackenstall was tied to. This candlestick is valuable.
うん。
It is interesting that it was not also stolen. This candlestick is valuable. These wine bottles are expensive and mostly from France.
ここ
A
だ
bottle
な。
of wine is missing here. An empty silverware box. It appears that the intruders have stolen the contents. The criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house.
うん。
They only took a little
だろうな。
silverware.
銀食器のみな気がするな。確かに。取ったのは。
This door leads to the upstairs bedrooms. Apparently the criminals did not venture there.
やっぱりちょっとなんか変だよな。絶対 ぱりなんかがおかしい気
A
がする。
trapper's hut. A trapper's hut.
漁師の一家ってこと？ここは
The hunting scene.
本当に好きだな。ここなんだ。開けらんないのか。特に関係はないか。
Lord George Brackenstall.
とりあえず見るか。休んでる部屋とトビーを連れてくるか。まずはトビー。こういうちょっと不可思議な事件好きっすね、やっぱりね。あからさまな感じでそうじゃないってところは。トビー、行くぜー。
Come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case. A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful.
シュール犬飼ったってあんま知らないけどな。
Search, Toby.
トビーになるの？マジか。これどうしたらいいのこれ。これか。なるほど。やっぱこの小屋か。と見せかけて違う。
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware.
でその後でこっちに行ってる。で井戸。
The scent leads to the well. I should check it.
でもってこっから逃げてる。
The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall. The criminals left the house through the French window. They walked to the shed, then across to the well before fleeing by
本当ですよ
climbing
ね。
over the wall.
まあ、井戸に行ったのはなんか
Shows such a winding route.
なんかを消すためだったのかな。なんか残したかな、それか。その可能性はあるな。
This hook might be useful.
また鍵詰めかよ。
This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty. Small gardening tools, nothing of great interest.
でもないの。
Bags of seed. Some empty bags were recently moved.
大したもんなかったな。次こっちか。
There's something glittering at the bottom there, but how can I reach it?
それはやっぱりこれでしょう。なんでこれあれじゃねえ
Silverware.
の。そうそう。
This is
金食器じゃん。
coincidence.
じゃあ完全に雇われてんじゃねえか、あいつ。あいつというかその盗みに入ったの。
Install coat of arms. It appears that we have found the stolen silverware.
もう絶対じゃあこの事件そんなもしかして思ったよりさっと終わるのか奥様の部屋見せてください。
There are 3 glasses on the dining room
これ
table.
もね。
I was wondering if
Oh, I forgot. When I came to myself the first time, each of them had a glass in his hand. They might have been a father and his 2 sons. They talked together in whispers, and then they left.
we found your silverware, Lady Brackenstall. It had not been taken very far.
Is that true? I am very thankful to you, Mr. Holmes.
まあ良かったかどうかわかんないですけど
Your
ね。
ladyship. We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed. These scratches are most definitely made by the picture frame. This is Sir Eustace's safe. There may be something important inside. I must ask Lady Brackenstall to open it.
ちょっと開けてもらおうか。
Lady Brackenstall, could you open this wall safe?
No, it is my husband.
やっぱ知らんのか。
The combination.
そんな気がし
We
た。
have to open it. Your ladyship?
Please leave my Mary alone. She's suffered so much.
Baron Lyndon Brackenstall.
本当
The
にこ
Brackenstall
こ
family seems rather austere.
歴代飾ってるな、とにかく。あ、そういや出口を見てねえな、最後の。確かここだったな。ここだけ見てないな、まだ。そういや。
The intruder's trail is lost behind this wall.
トビーはまあこんなもんだろう。寝室を見ててもらわないと多分。
This door leads to the upstairs bedrooms. Apparently the criminals did not venture there.
うん。殴られてるとはいえ分かんないもんな。
A hunter scene.
もしかしたら奥様がやったとも言えなくはない。ゼロではない。このブラッケンストール夫人が休んでる部屋を調べるっていうのができないと厳しいな。分析するか。とりあえず一回帰って分析しないと。
Well, Holmes, do you have a lead?
Dr. Watson, it's Mr.
Are-
Isa Whitney. He says it's urgent.
誰？
Isn't that the fellow we found in the opium den while I was undercover there? Or am I mistaken?
そうなんだ。
Yes, the gentleman whom I wrote about in The Man with a Twisted Lip. But I must go. This addiction of his causes irreversible damage.
In that case, I shall continue the investigation alone.
I hope that you'll tell me everything when I return.
珍しいな、ワトソンが抜けるやて。まあ別にいいんだけ
Let
ど。
us see how the rope was cut. The fibers at the end of the rope are smoothly cut. Let us try to find out what tool was used to cut the rope.
どうすか？
Fibers
違
from
う
this
な。
cut appear to be different.
じゃあこっちか。こっちか。違うな。
Fibers from this
じゃあ何？ナイフ？
If I cut the rope with a knife,
ナイフか。
it matches the original.
ナイフか。会話内で尋ねる。尋ねたけどな。テストレード警部に言った方がいいのかな、とりあえず。まあ、とりあえず。
Inspector, I have recovered the stolen
That's all
silverware.
You are a wizard, Mr. Holmes. And where is it?
In the garden well.
Excuse me?
Unique, isn't it?
Rather absurd.
そうそ
What
う。
is the point of stealing silverware and then throwing it down?
盗んでないってことかな。
Perhaps it was used as a temporary hiding place, or simply the thieves wanted to get rid of it. It is up to us to solve this mystery.
Oh, what a horror.
とりあえず、あとは何を探すかだな。ちょっとまだ足りないな。金庫。
The hunting scene. A fur trader's cabin.
あれは一応見たしな。写真は全部調べた気がするし。ん？これって、これ関係ないのか。
Antique hunting weapons.
うん。これは違うな。この向こう行きてえんだけどな。とりあえず一番行きたいのはここなんだけど。参ったな。そう休んでる部屋やけん。だから、あ、ここで合ってんのか。この中調べて合ってんだ。思うけど、これ以上、他に調べることないんだよな。
Let us try to open this safe. This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial
あ、振動するって
will
ことか。
vibrate
なるほ
when
ど。
it is set to the correct number.
こうか。どれどれどれどれ。あれないけど。ここか。いけた。開いたわ。さすがですね。診断書？病気かなんか？肝臓が悪い、肝症が悪い。
It is common practice to keep one's valuables in a safe behind a painting. It should not really pose a challenge for a criminal. Antique coins, possibly of value, but they're scattered without care.
結構適当だな。 終わったよ。
Oh, what a horrible thing.
What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober. He was a demon when he was drunk. In such moments, he
い
was
そうだね、そういう人。
capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel on Lady Brackenstall's dog and set it alight.
犬に。
Another day, he threw a decanter of wine at Miss Wright's head,
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
to the point that we were forced to intervene several times to avoid a
これ
scandal.
絶対に夫人がやってると思うけどな。これけど、これって聞けるのかな。
Sir Eustace's doctor speaks of his violent behavior.
Yes, Sir Eustace was an extremely violent man.
剣すべき。
Detestable human being, to be more precise.
怖っ。
It is true that he once threw a decanter at me, and all because I dared to stand up to him in defence of my mistress. Sly devil. God forgive me that I should speak of him so now that he's dead.
ずる賢い
The
悪
devil he was. If ever one walked the earth. We met him only 18 months ago. She'd only just arrived in London. Yes, it was her first voyage. She'd never been from home before. One with his title and his money and his false
間違ったロン
London
ドン
life.
作法。
If she made a mistake, she has paid for it, if ever a woman did. She doesn't have any friends here, so it was especially hard for her.
Hmm. わかりやすかったな、これ。早いな。まあ、方面かな、これもな。早いな。
I know the full story. You are both guilty, are you not?
Mr. Holmes.
短いな、この事件。すげえ早いじゃん。
Madam, he's bluffing.
It is no use. Your husband was a violent man, a cruel man. Your argument last night ended tragically, with him stumbling and falling, fatally striking his head upon the fireplace grate. However, your mise en scène to divert suspicion was unnecessary. You should have admitted the truth.
The truth is often subjective, Mr. Holmes.
Not to me.
What will you tell Inspector Lestrade?
He will find nothing, as he handed the case over to me. Farewell, ladies. Inspector, I'm afraid that the murderers have escaped us.
What? Do you mean to tell me that you failed? Never thought I'd live to see the day.
I mentioned the murderers, not the case. It is obvious that the crime was committed by 3 criminals who cannot be the Randalls.
You really think so?
You only need to find a gang of 3 thugs wandering around. I can trust you to do that.
If they exist, I'll catch them.
You'll find someone, I have no doubt of it. Goodbye, Inspector.
めっちゃ早かったけど 旧植物園の一件。さすがに今日はこれもう一件いきますね。うん。あら、いつもの事件もいきます。
Holmes, for heaven's sake, whatever's
めっ
going on?
ちゃ
Oh, hello, Watson.
はいおる
You're
やん。
early. Did you kill all of your patients?
What? Holmes,
8
where
か。
did all these wretched bees come from?
I increased the temperature of the room so as to prevent them from hibernating. I needed to take a sample of honey. But it worked, Watson. We will have honey all year round.
Ridiculous and dangerous.
They're domestic bees, Apis mellifera, such industrious workers. Anyway, Watson, I am sorry, but I must leave you. I'm in rather a hurry.
You have a new case?
Yes, but nothing as thrilling as this experiment.
王立植物園。
Plants at the Royal
植物の
Botanic
盗難。
Gardens in Kew. I'm helping a minister who's an old friend of
前
mine.
回の事件がちょっと長かっただけにね、すげえ短かったんですよね。
I'll admit that I'd far rather accompany you than remain alone here with these workers of yours. Besides, you'll need a helping hand with the flowers you're intending to bring back.
Watson, however did you guess?
For the great Sherlock Holmes to bother with the theft of plants. Come on, admit that you're planning to spoil your little bees with some rare pollens.
Since when did I become so transparent? Let us go.
旧植物園。まずは覗く。めっちゃおもろいね、いつも思うけど、このおばはん。トビーと話そう。
Oh dear, Toby. I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
じゃあ行こうか。いや、2つ解けると嬉しいですね、事件が。って言いながらなかったらどうしよう、次の事件が。
Well, Holmes, here we are at the Royal Botanic
王
Gardens.
立植物園。
There's no doubt that this place is beautiful. But are you really intent on investigating the theft of the plants?
Yes, of course.
Don't touch anything else, is that clear? Just go and get a bucket of fertilizer. And without turning it over this time.
見学
Good
ム
day to
ー
you,
ド。
gentlemen. How may I help you? If you are here for a visit, please do come back on Sunday.
I am afraid that it cannot wait. My name is Sherlock Holmes, and this is my friend and colleague, Dr. Watson. We are investigating the theft of plants that took place here 5 days ago. A
驚
remarkable
くべきと
collection, I
展
believe.
示品。
So you're the one in charge, eh?
A small favor for a friend. Now, to whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
I am Martin Hamish. I am the deputy director
副
of
園
Kew
長
Gardens. And that fellow
と
yonder is
従業
Albert.
員
He。works here.
I am delighted to meet you. What can you tell us about the plants?
They were rare and exceptional plants. We presented them at our last
うー
exhibition.
ん。
We haven't removed the stand yet. It is still in the large glass house. We only learned of their disappearance the evening after the exhibition, and
展
nobody
示
saw
会夜
anything.
に。
No doors were forced?
No, but I would imagine that for a thief it would be fairly easy to gain entry, for there are no guards here.
Well, if you don't mind, we will take a look. Now, you say that it is in the large glass house.
大温
Yes,
室
the。one just behind me. Just a second, since Albert has nothing else to do. Albert, show these gentlemen where the exhibition was held.
How many people work here?
Only myself, but occasionally 2 students, Albert, whom you have met,
ホワイトさ
and
ん。
Miss White.
うーん。
Here it is. This is the place where the stolen plants were exhibited.
Thank you. Is there something the matter?
Yes, there is. All right, the plants were valuable and rare, but it seems to me that the tragedy that took place here only 2 days ago has been entirely forgotten already.
What tragedy are you referring to?
どれだ。
The director
死んだ
of
の
Kew Gardens,
園長
Mr.
が。
Montague Dunn. He died here just 2 days ago.
そっちが大事じゃん。
We're very sorry. We were not aware. The two of you were good friends?
He was my
息子かよ。
Our condolences. We should not be troubling you. Please do excuse us for the intrusion.
You say that he died here.
ああ、
in
そういうこと
Marge
か。
Blake's house.
Holmes?
Yes. Just here, near the door to the colonial collection.
なるほどな。
He suffered a heart attack. Just like that. So suddenly.
これ、おやっさんが盗んだんじゃねえのか。
Excuse me, gentlemen.
おやっ
I
さ
can't
ん
go
が
on。here. If you need me, I'll be in the reserve. That's the room next to the
おやっさん
front
盗んでない
greenhouse.
Of course, we understand.
なんかそんな気がするんだけど。
According to Albert, this is where his father, Montague Dunn, was found dead. This sign is broken. Something heavy was dropped upon it.
これか。破片。
Soil. It should have come from a flower pot. The soil on the side of this flower shelf
一緒だね、
is the
確かに。
same as that on the ground.
これなんかついてる。
The door was smashed at shoulder
壊れてるのか。
height. This door handle is new. It was recently changed.
ここもなんかあるよ。壊れてんじゃん、やっぱり。
The esconson was breached near the handle. The door was forced from the inside of the colonial collection room. The handle was changed
So-
afterwards.
I think we need to inspect the colonial collection room.
Very strange. The smell is strong. It is a detergent.
かけら。
This broken fragment was the result of a heavy blow. A fragment of marble, most likely chipped
Ah,
from
なるほど、
a
像
statue
か。
or sculpture. These windows were perfectly cleaned. Part of this greenhouse was emptied and thoroughly cleaned.
なんか変だな。
This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. These plants come from all the territories of the British Empire.
洗剤をこうやったっていうのよくわかんないな。
According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. These trees, with their roots in water, must originate from Louisiana.
Ah, yes, the bayou. I remember our
Here is a list of the stolen plants.
do not touch.
絶対普通そう書いてくるね。
The plants were here. All of them were stolen.
全部かよ。もうけどこのぐらいかな。この部屋に関してのことはこんなもんだと思うな。
According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building. According to this, they have light and moisture control in some parts of the building.
「植物は調べにくいな、なんか。
「
can I help you, gentlemen?
まあしょうがないよね。綺麗なって。
Do you work here?
Yes, but part-time only. I'm also studying botany at the University of London.
You're following in your father's footsteps, then. That is commendable.
Well, even if botany is not my strongest suit, there are people who say that I could be a good manager.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
これ普通に庭か。あ、そう、これでやっと火事だったんだな。この辺はさすがに何もない気がするけどな。ちょっとこの人に話聞くか。そういや、副園長。とりあえず、この人も見とこう。ニコンはどうでもいいと思うけどな、ほんと。
Albert told us about the tragic death of Mr. Dunn, the late director of Kew Gardens.
Tragic indeed. His heart attack was quite unexpected.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation. Colonial Collection. Director's Office, Cloakroom and Laboratory. Harm House. Water Lily Greenhouse. Dry Tropics. Ventilation System.
換気掃除みたい
Seed
な。
House. Nursery.
そんだけかな。
A map of Kew Gardens. Locked. Locked.
まあ、事務所は決まってるよね、大体。
Locked. Locked. Nursery.
もう閉まってんの？セキュリティ厳しいね。ここ開いたわ。
Colonial Collection. Harm House. Director's Office, Cloakroom and Laboratory. A map of Kew Gardens. Nursery. Seed House.
さっ
Ventilation
きも見たよ
system.
な、これ。
Dry Tropics. Water Lily Greenhouse.
他は別にいいですよ、ないってことか。これやっぱ閉まってるよね。こっちはやってないかな。
Locked. Seed House.
ということはもう一個向こうがあれか、換気室かな。
There is a smell of burning.
え？何？あ！焼けてる。 荒れた鉢。
The symbol is not from Kew Gardens. The remains of a picture frame. A protective mask. Someone set it alight, but it did not burn. A broom handle was half burned. A door handle? Why would anyone throw such a thing in the fire? The door handle to the colonial collection and that of the fireplace are made of the same material.
ちょっと気になるなこれ。こんだけかな。まだあるな。本来だったら緑になるはず。
The plants were set alight fairly recently. Some have not completely burned.
よし。ここは換気室かな。違うな、ここは。
These flower pots are beautiful. They are intended to be used for The symbol is not from Kew Gardens.
なんでだ？なんでここのものじゃないのがあるんだろう。
Dry tropics.
水蓮。こうやって帰ってきたのか、ここに。気になるな、あれ。この辺調べたしな。で、何がしても大丈夫か見てみようか。また一周してみんなに話聞くか。これなんだろう。関係ないのか。Hey.
Excuse me, but I have to tidy up this room.
こっちかな。Hey.
Would you unlock the doors for us?
Do you expect to find the stolen plants there? I am sorry, but those rooms are private.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
なんてこった。とりあえずじゃあ B 課外帰って書類調べるか。 これだ。えー、っとこっちか。植物学。これか。
That is not the
これかな。
Here it is.
やっぱ毒性があるんか、やっぱり。8の商標。神聖なる。これか？こっちか？すいません。間違えたばっかりで。
That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need.
神聖なる。
That is not the one I need.
商標だろ？
That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need.
こっちか？
That is not. That is. That is not the one I need. That is. That is. That is. That is not the one I need. That is not. That. That is not. That is not the one I need.
違うな。こっちか。
That is. That is not.
もうこうなったら全部。
That is not. That is. That is. That.
全部。
That. That is not the one. That. 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 That.
なかったよ。
That is. That is. That. That is. That. That is not the one I need.
どういうこと本当に。
That is not the one I need.
商標ってなんだろうな。
That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need. That is not. That is not the one. That is not the one I need. That is not the one I need. That is.
That
That is not the one I need.
百科事典なのかな、やっぱり。
That is not the one I. That is not the. That.
2個、これじゃねえの？
That is not the one I need.
違うのか。
That is. That is not. That is not the one I need.
じゃあ何だろう？ちょっと待って。マジでわからん、これ。何今の？壊れた鉢の商標でしょ？だから検索してたんでしょ？
That is not the one I need.
けど絶対さっきのやつの中にあったと思うんだけどな。
That is not the one I need.
これじゃねえ
That is
の？
not the one I need.
申請だとこれしかないよ。
That is not the one I need. That is not the one. That is not the one I. That is not the one I need.
ないけど飛ばすよもう。じゃあ
The Divine Syndicate is not a supplier to Kew Gardens. Besides, there is no address here.
これでいいんかい？
That is that is that is that is that that is that is that is not the one I need.
違うね。
That is not the that is not the one. That is not the that is not that is not that is not the one.
これもないじゃん、これも。なんだそれ。ああ、はいはい。あ、結婚すんのあんた。そうっすか。ついこの間の、さっきやった。
My archive. I can always consult with it if needed.
ん？芋餅が利用できる。とりあえずじゃあまた行くか。
Are you aware of the Divine Syndicate?
Divine what? Is this a joke?
No, I am quite serious.
What a ridiculous name. Anyway, I have never heard of this syndicate.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
しかしここはなかなか人が少ないからあれだな、証言聞くのが楽は楽だけど。
Tell me, have you ever heard of the Divine Syndicate?
No, I cannot say that I have.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
で、芋虫ってどこにいるの？この辺いるのかな？気候は気になるんだよな、それよりなんか。あ、破片だ、そういや。この破片が結局なんだかんだで調べてない気がする。
Soil. It should have come from a flower pot.
これなんで白のままなんだろう。
Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here.
なんかないかな、ここ。これ閉めないことなんかあんのかな。
What should we do next, Holmes?
Oh! 大事なとこ来た。
A water tank.
貯水槽。
A ventilation system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings.
これ大事だよな。 大事だけどよくわからない。あ、なんか書いてあった今。
A ventilation system. It should.
興味ある対象物。
Locked.
聞きに行くかまた。
Just be careful with the plants during your inspection.
Excuse me, but I have to tidy up this room.
あれ、あれ、これですね、ご主人だけプロファイルしてなかったよね、僕。しまったなぁ。ショックでけー。そうか。旦那忘れてたな、一番大事な。見とかなきゃいかんな。あ、見れる。これだ。
No, it wasn't like that. No, it wasn't like that. This pot was broken fairly recently. A flower pot recently fell down from these shelves and was misplaced. No, it wasn't like that.
ん？
No, it wasn't like that.
血
Blood. Someone fell violently against this sign, and they were injured in the clash. Most likely a head wound.
じゃあさらにこれか今度。
The traces are thinner in some places. These boot marks are fresh. It appears as though someone was dragging their feet. The footprints reveal that someone staggered here. All the clues around here are quite suspicious. I need my imagination to make sense of it all. This reconstruction reveals a disturbing fact. Montague Dunn damaged the door of the Colonial Collection Room.
He was in a panic, or the door was locked. Was it an accident, or a
殺
murder?
人ではない気がするな。ただ運悪くこっちだな。検視か。そうだな、それが大事だな。これ毒物出てきたら苦しくて苦し紛れに回ってきたのがやべえってなってガチャンって開けたけどガボってなったって感じだな。事故だ
I
なこれ。
asked Inspector Lestrade to take Montague Dunn's body to Scotland Yard.
It's ready for autopsy then.
じゃあ検視に行きましょうか。
First of all, let us carry out an external examination. There is an injury to the skull, most probably caused by the fall in the water lily greenhouse. The vessels and the pupil of the eye appear quite normal. The air from the lungs carries a faint floral aroma. There are no suspicious marks upon the chest. Let us finish our external examination so that we can proceed with the autopsy. No redness, stings,
なん
or
もねえな。
bruises.
やっぱ毒物かな。
Nothing suspicious here. Now, let us examine the internal organs. The heart's blood vessels show no pathological signs.
すごいな、綺麗に作ってんな。
The heart tissue shows no visible pathological signs.
肺かなやっぱり。
The lungs are congested and edematous.
あ、
The
これだ。
tissue on the inferior lobe of the right lung is damaged,
毒だ
most
なやっぱり
probably
な。
caused by toxins from an unknown plant.
一応肝臓見とくけど肝
The
臓
liver
は
is enlarged. It would seem that he is suffering from an alcohol addiction.
気をつけよう。皆さんも気をつけましょうね。
The liver tissue is brown. There are no visible pathological signs.
い
The stomach tissues show no visible pathological signs. There is a small amount of content. It appears that he breakfasted lightly, only a short while before his death. Suspicions have been substantiated. Montague Dunn, the director of Kew Gardens, died from poisoning. Plant poisoning, to be more exact.
You mean
Yes, it is murder.
we should inform Lestrade?
Yes, but do remember, Watson, that I discovered the murder. The challenge is mine.
殺
The
人か。
challenge, Holmes?
We need to locate that deadly plant. Such a perfect murder appeals to me.
Murder
やっぱ
of any
副園
kind
長か。
appeals to you. Is that all we need to do?
No, we also have the people working at Kew Gardens. Martin Hamish and the son of the victim, Albert Dunn.
And also Miss White, of whom we spoke with Mr. Hamish.
ホワイトさんっていう
Should
気
we
になる
bring them
な。
all here for interrogation?
No, a few innocuous questions at Kew will suffice, as well as a discreet delve into their personal affairs. Yes, Watson, it is time now to open the doors.
おお。
Even those in the staff building, I suppose,
噂の。
is necessary.
We should also be concerned with the victim himself. After all, we don't know very much about Montague Dunn.
You're enjoying this already, aren't you?
More than a little.
けどやっぱあれかな。殺人なんだ。決定的証拠見つけないとね、とりあえずね、するんだったら。
Locked.
こっちだね。さあ開けてもらおうか。
Mr. Hamish, can you explain to us what happened to the colonial collection? It seems somewhat depleted.
But, most likely maintenance work, tidying up.
You're not sure, then? But you're the deputy director.
Well, I am busy. I cannot be everywhere at once.
このおっさんが一番怪しいな。
As deputy director, how was your relationship with Montague Dunn?
To be honest with you, Mr. Holmes, it could have been better. You see, every Tuesday he would carry out his inspection of the gardens. It was solely to make an impression, great pretense that he cared at all. He would give out absurd orders, ignoring anyone else's opinion. He would then disappear for the rest of the week.
そうなんだ。
He was what some might call a man of action. I'd say rather he was overzealous and chaotic. So after all, it was no wonder, perhaps, that he ended up like that. If you take into consideration his kind of lifestyle.
酒二人か。
You mentioned that Mr. Dunn led a particular lifestyle.
Well, it's no secret that he enjoyed, celebrating, shall we
ス
say?
マートセッ
He was
ト。
a member of the London Smart Set. He was famous for it. That and
And
he had an eye for the ladies. Put
え
it mildly, Mr. Holmes.
公職家だったってことか。
Mr. Hamish, can you tell us who holds the keys to the locked greenhouses?
That would be Albert, Mr. Dunn's son. Yes, Albert keeps all the keys, and one can
本当だ
only
ね。
imagine why.
What do you mean?
Well, he was never interested in Kew Gardens before, and now all of a sudden he is trying to act as if he owns the place. I think he wants to take over the management here. He'd do better to leave that to me. He has no experience. No, none at all.
What is your opinion of Albert as a student of botany?
He's useless. I often tell him so, and I
Sauce
can
ka.
only give him cleaning tasks. Botany is not his life's work, and his father well knew it. He was furious about it.
He was.
Oh yes, he forced his son to work here, and he never missed an opportunity to criticize him publicly.
Are you able to elaborate on that?
Well, for example, with our last exhibition here,
開
Mr.
会
Dunn
の
had
字。
Albert make a presentation speech. But then, while the lad was speaking, Mr. Dunn interrupted him, asking him difficult questions, making him look like a failure. It was with the intention of making a fool of him, Mr. Holmes.
そうなんですか。
That must have been terribly humiliating.
うまいな。
Yes, he was crushed, and he had to leave. Everybody was making fun of poor Albert. That is, except for Miss Margaret White, who is such a nice lady and who always takes pity on Albert.
You mentioned a Miss White. Would you tell us more about her?
She is a student who works here part-time. She
Eh.
is quite charming indeed. She possesses a great talent for
じゃあこの
botany.
ホワイトさんっていう人
We
が
should
やっ
take a
たか
look
そ
at
れ
some of
ゼロ
the
ではない
experiments that she
な。
carried out in the laboratory.
怖いな。
If only she were not so naive.
Why naive?
The way she used to flutter around Mr. Montague Dunn. And why, he couldn't help but be flattered by all her attention. How could an intelligent woman such as Miss White not see through his game? I can only scratch my head and wonder.
Tell me,
ホワイト
Mr.
さん気に
Hamish,
なるな。
do you grow the more deadly variety of plant here?
You mean insectivorous? Yes, but nothing larger than that.
食虫植物。
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
とりあえずじゃあこっちに息子の方にちょっと聞くか。
Who is Miss Margaret White?
Ah, she is the young lady who studies with me. She visits here sometimes to help out with the greenhouses. In fact, she should be here today. She wanted to work at the seed house. That's the small greenhouse across from the large glass house.
We noticed that a part of the colonial collection has been cleared.
Ah, at the moment I'm just dealing with the storage room. I don't know much about the other rooms.
なんか複雑やな、人が少ないのに。
I imagine that your relationship with your father may have been a strained one.
Yes, I cannot say that he was a kind man, for he never listened to me at all. He forced me to work
み
here.
たいやな。
But now, after his death, I've been pondering it over. Perhaps he wasn't so wrong about me after all. I have to follow his path, and I have to manage Kew Gardens, and I can do it. I can be as good as any other who works here.
Would you please tell us about Martin Hamish, the deputy director?
Well, I have to tell you that Mr. Hamish is not and has never been the deputy director of Kew
え、
Gardens.
そうなの？
My father would not have tolerated it.
Indeed. That is most interesting. He told us that he was.
Yes, because he believes that the management should be passed down to him now that my father is dead. But in actual fact, Mr. Hamish only has the
そうな
honor
ん
of
だ。
being the garden's longest-serving employee. In fact, if we are to think logically at all, it should be me who takes over the management of Kew Gardens.
Do you not have a good relationship with Mr. Hamish?
I suppose so. But we have very little in common. Mr. Hamish loves his plants and Kew Gardens, and I cannot say that I share his passion.
I see. And how was his relationship with your father?
Oh, he hated my father.
だ
It
ろ
was
うな。
obvious. He would be furious whenever my father boasted of Kew Gardens in the newspapers or at conferences. He was convinced that my father was stealing all of the credit for himself. But my father treated Mr. Hamish in the same way as he treated anyone. Dismissively. With indifference.
Do you hold the keys to all of these locked doors?
Yes, you can have them. But I cannot give you the keys to the cloakroom. The employees' effects are private. I am sure you understand.
Thank you, young man. We
よ
shall see you
ー
again
し。
soon.
まあなあ。まあ、毒殺として、じゃあこれで入れるね。さあ。手紙。親愛なるマーガレット。
Newspapers discussing Kew Gardens. A photograph of Montague Dunn and Reynold Hamish.
Hmm. Hmm? これはなんかあるのかな。
Champagne. Montague Dunn had good taste. French wine. A remarkable vintage.
金庫は開けたいけど、金庫の開け方が分かるものがちょっと見当たらない。うん。開けたいけどな。違うのか。3つか。2、3って感じか。こういうやつか。違うのか。こうか。なるほどね。開いた。よーし。親愛なる友へ。最後手紙を読み。親愛なる組合には、1889年6月14日。1889か。苦情の手紙。監禁。
I suggest that we don't tell Miss Margaret White about this document.
仮。とりあえずじゃあここは多いかな。
Locked.
あれここのやつが1個。
Such
なくなってる
masks
な。
are generally worn when dealing with toxic chemicals. Gloves, waterproof aprons, everything one might need for self-protection.
Do they grow dangerous plants here?
It appears as though the protective equipment is missing from here.
さっきあったもんな、確かにな。
A
蓄音機を調
phonograph
べる。
used for voice recording. Remarkable.
Yes, this is quite a modern laboratory.
Martin Hamish's perception of plants.
は
The
あ。
notion of communication in the plant world has long been considered marginal, yet I remain convinced that some
Oh,
plants do indeed transmit chemical signals in the event of attack.
A study report by Martin Hamish.
And it seems clear from these multiple experiments that
Hmm.
plants do respond to their environment and have a form of consciousness. Margaret White, February 1895. Report number 245.
Study report.
あるものが必要。
Chemicals. A sufficient quantity for some serious experiments. A botany book. This student's book belongs to Albert. There was a bottle here. It left behind a trace of the substance that pervaded the laboratory.
Gold dust. Good heavens.
金の粉。
What's it doing here?
The gold is almost immune to chemical attacks,
へえ。
so it may be a valuable auxiliary for various experiments.
But why would anyone perform such experiments in a botanical garden?
Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around.
なるほどね。
Several drops of the substance were spilled. Someone carried this bottle around. The bottle is no longer here, but it is possible to detect a faint
また
scent. We need a good
犬っ
nose.
すか。トビーね。はい。
Locked.
Holmes, Albert Dunn didn't give us the key to this door.
ここが個
It
室
does
か。
not matter. We will open it.
開けるんすか。あれ。今回これ分かりづらいな。 違う気がするな。なんか打った点数とか難しいんだよな今回これ。これなんだ。すげえ分かりづらいな。難しいなこれ本当に。これしかないの。飛ばします。さすがにちょっと無理です。
Open. Albert's locker. Young Albert, standing with a woman in front of London University.
アルバートって本当アルバート若いと思うんだけどな。
Specialist articles on shipyards and ship construction. Albert Dunn has a great passion for shipbuilding and the sea.
なるほど。
A rejection letter from the British
入学拒
Royal
否。
Naval College.
夢破れたってことか。なるほどね。
Martin Hamish's locker. Father and I, Kew Gardens. A review on rare and exotic plants. Martin Hamish has written several pieces. Martin Hamish studied
科
chemistry.
学か。
Interesting.
化学っていうのはちょっと怖いな。
Miss White's locker. Apparently, Miss White is a capable student.
みたいですね。
A draft of the letter that Miss White sent to her parents.
援助か。あんまり繋がらないな今回は。思ったほどは。
These jewels must be worth a small fortune.
プレゼントかな、もしかし
A
て。
vanity purse. It is of high quality.
ダンのおっさんからの。ほうほう。家族のことを何も心配してないのにいきなり金を貸せってどういうことだってことか。うん。ちょっと関係してるな、これはな。このホワイトさんっていう人がちょっとなかなか優秀だけどちょっと困ったところに付け入る隙を
Locked.
そこに付け入ったのがダン親子か。まあ目的は違うみたいだけどね。
A thesis written by Martin Hamish. A glasses case. It is empty. This area serves as Martin Hamish's office. This poster is for an exhibition that Martin Hamish was directing, but it had nothing to do with Kew Gardens. This certificate belongs to Martin Hamish. He won a horticultural competition.
園芸技術はあるってことか、この人は。
These young plants must be delicate if they are kept in the nursery.
ここはこれぐらいかな。ざーっと見て反応がないってことは。あ、
It is a bust of Montague Dunn. I am curious if the marble that we found. Here it
アウト
is.
だ多分。
The marble fragment that we found in the Colonial Collection Room is what they have in common. The seeds of plant species are stored here.
この中にあるんじゃねえの、詰めたやつ。
Locked.
ここにでもいるのかな、もしかして。
Open.
いたわ。いたいた。いた、ホワイトさんいた
Good
わ。
day to you, miss. You have some very beautiful plants here.
Why, thank you, sir. And good day to you too. But
Oh, I do beg your pardon. My name is Dr. John Watson. This is my good friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
I am honored to make your acquaintance, gentlemen. My name is Margaret White.
まあ一応そうですよ。
but are you Sherlock Holmes, the great detective?
Yes, I am he.
What a pleasure to see you here at Kew Gardens. Are you working on a case?
とりあえず先、この人見とくか。過去の栄養失調。そうなの？ニコンね。はいはい。
Yes, a theft of plants that took place here a few days ago after their most recent exhibition.
Oh, yes, of course. I quite forgot about that.
Oh, it's quite understandable that you might forget about the theft of the plants, miss, after the tragedy that took place here.
Yes. The director was a truly good man. It is such a terrible misfortune.
いい人だったのかい？
Would you happen to know why part of the colonial collection was cleared?
No, I have never been there.
Do you work here?
Part-time only. I am a biology student
生
at
物
the
学
London University.
ね。
I attend the same classes as the son of Mr. Montague Dunn. That is how I found my chance to work here for part of my thesis, you see. It is a great honor.
How well did you know Mr. Montague Dunn?
He was a master, a great
素
leader.
晴らしい
I
指導
saw
者。
him
ほほ
almost
う。
as a spiritual father.
He had an exceptional nature.
Oh yes, indeed. He was always so active and so optimistic and very nice to me. Although he could behave harshly towards his son.
Why so?
He loved his son dearly and wanted the very best for him. It made him extremely demanding. Albert, who is naturally shy, suffered because of it.
The Divine Syndicate. Does that name mean anything to you, by any chance?
Not at all. But it is a very pretty name.
かわいい名前って怖いな。
Most of the doors in Kew Gardens are locked. Do you have a key to
そう
this
そ
room?
う。
Oh, yes. Albert gave me a set of duplicate keys. He agreed I might carry out my studies without disturbing him. It is only temporary.
ほう。
Thank you, miss. None of the 3 people who work at Kew Gardens know why half of the colonial
片付け
collection
た
was
の
cleared.
は？
So, someone is lying. It is obvious.
うん。
These leather gloves are new and of good quality. They do not appear to have been used. Materials for college study. They belong to Albert. This place serves as Albert's office.
なるほどね。
A book about ships. Nothing at all to do with plants.
まあ夢破れてるからなこの人。
From here, we are unable to see the interior of the colonial collection room.
うん。 他は何か見つけれないのかな。あくまでもそれだけか。ここにあるのは。これ気になってんだよ
A ventilation
な。
system. It should regulate the temperature of the staff buildings.
それより一旦あれだな。界隈尋ねるのとか結構あるな。もうちょっと会話尋ねてからにしようか。犬を連れて行くのはこの人とアルバートと両方に話を聞いてそれからだな。
Mr. Hamish, was someone from your family connected with Kew Gardens?
Family? No. I'm the only one with a passion for botany.
I do not think so. This photograph of you and your father at Kew Gardens suggests the opposite.
But you have no right to.
Do tell us more about your father.
He was, indeed, the greatest botanist of his time in the British Empire. He worked together with Montague Dunn until the end of his life. He brought me in at the age of 12.
Did he get on well with Mr. Dunn?
No, I couldn't say that. They expanded Kew Gardens together, that was all. And it was all my father's work. But Dunn always lived the high life.
So Mr. Dunn was not helping your father?
Oh yes, he provided the financial support. And as far as he was concerned, that fulfilled his role. But the worst of it was, he declared himself as the master of Kew Gardens. Fame meant nothing to my father. So it was easy for Mr. Dunn to take all the credit.
There is a bust of Montague Dunn in the nursery.
A bust? Oh, that old thing. Further proof of that outrageous ego of his.
But why in that room, in particular?
Oh, I don't know. It has always been there. A bust? Oh, that old thing. Further proof of that outrageous ego of his.
But why in that room, in particular?
Oh, I don't know. It has always been there.
違うのか。どれだ？
There is a bust of Montague Dunn in the nursery.
A bust? Oh, that old thing. Further proof of that.
But
oh, I don't know. It has always been there.
It is strange, because I recovered a fragment of the bust inside the Colonial Collection Room.
Really? Oh, well, so I am mistaken. It ought to have been removed during the cleanup. This room is so small.
このおっさんかな。
Do you know who moved it?
I have no idea. Surely Mr. Dunn requested it. Do you have any more questions like this? Because fragments of rock are not my responsibility.
Evidently.
誰もでもやってそうだけど、アルバートってのはちょっ
Thank
と
you,
薄
Mr.
い
Hamish.
な。
We shall continue our investigation.
?じゃあこっちだな。
I perceive that you are passionate about the Royal Navy.
Passionate? No, not really. I like ships, that is all.
Are you quite sure? You do not seem to be so interested in plants.
It's difficult, that's all. My future is here. There's never been about anything else.
だいぶ嘘ついてるな。
And yet I know that the Royal Naval College rejected your application.
Oh, you truly are as clever as they say. Yes, that's correct. And in fact, my father was strongly against the idea. He did his best to ruin my plans, although I almost did succeed. But my dreams were shattered, Mr. Holmes.
Thank you, young man. We shall see.
そうなんだ。じゃあそろそろトビーの出番かまた。トビーよ。
Come on, Toby. We have some work for you to do. Let us go to Kew Gardens. Here it is. And here is the Divine Syndicate's address. Perfect. It is time to find out what they have against Montague Dunn.
これあれじゃねえの？変装していくやつじゃねえの？もしかして。違うのか。地下に行くやつか。まあ、とりあえず先に こっちが先だ。
Let us take Toby to the laboratory. He will pick up the scent of this mysterious substance. Search, Toby. Search.
サーチします。サーチサーチ。ついてくのワトソンなの？どこっすか？ここ？なんか埋めてる？
Congratulations, Toby. Now let us see what you have found.
瓶か。
This is the bottle that was used in the laboratory.
これが
There is still some liquid remaining in the bottle, with gold flakes. A tiny caterpillar. Not surprising to see one in a garden, but at the bottom of a bottle.
Just be careful with the plants during your inspection.
分析分析。はいはいっと。
Let us determine just what we have found here. Let us pour liquid from the bottle into a test tube to perform an analysis. A colorless, water-based liquid.
無臭かな。
Quite a strong
あ、ほう、
floral
花これなんだ。
Holmes? What are you doing?
It has a bitter taste.
よく飲む
What
な。
if it's poisonous?
Did you ever see poison stored in enormous jars like that? Anyway, there is a doctor nearby.
So
Naruhodo
what do
ne.
you think it is?
It is some kind of organic compound. Let us vaporize the liquid and see what happens.
んじゃ有効にして。
Let us determine just what we have found here. Small colorless crystals.
おう。
Colorless, tiny crystals that are soluble in water, with a floral smell and a bitter taste. Watson, could you pass me that small bottle, please?
Of course. Here you are. Holmes, do you know what it is?
Wagner's reagent. There was a label on the bottle that you passed to me.
No, Holmes, I meant the bottle that we found.
Let me add the reagent and see if there is any sediment, and then I shall tell you.
試験管入れて。はい。
Red
赤いよ。
sediment, just as I suspected. This liquid is of organic
アル
origin.
カロイド。
It contains some alkaloid. Most likely it is unstable, and that is why there is a quantity of gold dust to prevent contamination. This mixture is probably a
肥料。
fertilizer. Someone was carrying out unusual experiments in the garden's
お
laboratory.
じゃあもう副園長じゃねえかこれ。じゃあここ行くか。
This place is beautiful, Holmes. Its atmosphere is remarkably
太極
soothing.
拳してるけど。
Let us find someone who could help us.
同志なのこの人。
Good day to you, sir. My name is Sherlock.
I am exalting the sun. A while can you wait? From the trace of elements and moreover from the quality of the ambient geotropism it depends. Therefore, please, mind my gravitropism. Its balance.
ほうほう。
Do not disturb.
Disturbed is most definitely the word.
There. Completed is the symbiosis. Welcomed you are. To introduce myself I shall. I am the Green Grand Mystic.
The Green Grand Mystic himself.
This is me. Who am I speaking to?
We are two gentlemen who are extremely interested in the vegetation philosophy that is advocated by this establishment.
Listening to you, I am.
We should like to take a look around, to immerse ourselves in the wisdom that emanates from here.
It is a school of anastomosis, the divine scholastic syndicate for vegetation veneration and meditation. You may say, the divine syndicate. Glory to the eukaryotic. Only true devotees, those whose hearts are ready to spermatophize in sharing of knowledge, are permitted to physically enter our vegetable kingdom and its wisdom. And to be permitted, you must earn it. Yes.
うん。
Green Grand Mystic, we are ready to become devotees and gain access to your temple.
What is the name of our Lord, our God King?
Our God King's name is Trewan, Green Grand Mystic.
Oh, la. Good, good. I like you. Here is the holy key to the wisdom place. Holy donation can you make whenever you so wish.
Thank you so much.
I pray you to taste our fertilizer substance. From the burdens of life it helps to free.
But of course.
Raw sap, it is called. It is near the entrance.
We visited Kew Gardens, and we found your symbols on their flower pots.
Coincidence, I am thinking. They would scavenge our refuse. It would not surprise me.
It was merely an observation. Well, we will leave you to your meditation.
しまった。じゃあ行くか。
Osmosis and photosynthesis.
This door is locked, but I can try to open it.
もろですけど。 か結構難しいの多いだな。なんか一緒になるのおかしいな、これ。なんで一緒になるんだろう。これが飛ばす。OK なんすかこれ、こんなことして。
These instruments are used for smoking opium.
あ、変か。やりそうだな。
This substance is an alkaloid, the same as in the bottle we found in the bushes at Kew Gardens. This cabinet is full of chemicals. They are the same as the ones we found in the laboratory at Kew Gardens. That would be enough to perform the most difficult of chemical experiments.
すげえ。
That should be the raw sap that the Green Grand Mystic spoke of. This is rather delicious, and of an excellent quality.
My word, Holmes. This sap is like a form of cocaine.
だろうね。だと思ってましたよ。
Caterpillars. They are raised as food for certain plants. Let's take them. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest.
ここじゃねえな。どれだ。
These three plants are identical to the ones shown at the exhibition. I shall take them.
そうなの。
A tropical plant. Nothing of interest. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest.
違うのか。
Perfect, Watson. We can begin our experiment. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest. A tropical plant. Nothing of interest.
ちょっと待って、ここでなんか、なんで出るんだこれか。
A fragment of a flower pot. The Kew Gardens symbol.
おお。それ確かにおかしいね。
Fragments of a flower pot. It fell down here.
Hmm. いやー、かかるね。思ったよりかかりますね。
I imagine that one of these plants would be capable of releasing a toxic vapor. I need to find out
芋虫かこれ
exactly
で。
how it could be done. I shall begin now. Watson, if you are at all optimistic to have dinner this evening, then I'd recommend
一番右じゃねえかこれ。
It appears to open after being soaked with alkaloid. This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. It closed again. I believe I saw a small cloud of gas. I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a greater extent whilst it is opened, it will reveal a little more. It appears to open after being I wonder what This plant becomes inactive after being drenched with alkaloid. It appears to open after this plant be I wonder what secrets this plant is hiding. Perhaps if we agitate it to a It appears this plant seems to have had no reaction. Toxic gas with spores. Extraordinary.
間違いないか。
The plants would be capable of killing only if they were directly next to the victim and stimulated at precisely the right moment.
Let us take our caterpillars to the Colonial Collection Room. We may see things more clearly there.
It is too early, Watson. Our suspects will be there. Let us investigate Kew Gardens one more time and ask some questions.
さあ行きましょうか。
Can you tell me if you saw Mr. Montague Dunn on the day of his death?
Yes, of course. I met him. I went to see Albert, his son, at around 9:30. He appeared quite calm.
What were you doing on the morning of the accident?
After paying multiple visits to Albert, I had a little talk with Miss White. Then I returned to my desk to complete some paperwork. Suddenly I observed that Mr. Dunn was not feeling well, so I ran immediately to fetch Albert. I clearly remember that it was around 10:30, for I was late that morning.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation.
次はアルバート、最後ホワイトさんやな。
Your father's death does seem highly suspicious. What were your movements here on that day?
Suspicious. Well, I was working in the seed house, taking care of Lysa something, or Lear Pontus, or... No, wait. These Latin names. I spent so many hours trying to memorize them.
Did you see your father that day?
Yes. He came here with Mr. Hamish for his weekly visit. There was nothing unusual about that.
And then?
Nothing. They stepped out to the backyard. It was perhaps 20 minutes before 10 o'clock.
時間が違う
10
な。
minutes later, I saw my father heading for the dry tropics room while Mr. Hamish returned here.
And Mr. Hamish and Miss White? What were they both doing that morning?
Mr. Hamish visited me a couple of times. I also saw him returning from talking with Miss White, and that was at 10 minutes past 10. But then he ran back here to me to tell me that my father was feeling unwell. We hurried across to the water lily room and I found my father lying dead on the floor. Oh my God.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
あとはホワイトさんだけね。ホワイトさんやーい。さっさ。
Can you tell me what Mr. Dunn was doing upon the day of his death?
I can, but there is nothing very special to say. I was in the laboratory when I saw Mr. Dunn heading towards me. Tuesday is the day of his weekly visit. It was supposed to be at 9, but he was 10 minutes late, as usual.
And then?
Well, he came in to say good morning. Then I saw him spend 2 or 3 minutes by the plants outside the laboratory. After that, he ran out in the direction of the nursery, where Mr. Hamish was working. He was always in a rush during the inspection, you see. I would pity anyone who stood in
やっぱり
his
ヘイ
way.
ミッシュが一番怪しいな。
And that was the last time you saw him?
Yes. I stayed in the laboratory until 20 minutes to 11, when I heard the cries of Albert and Mr. Hamish from the large glass house. I joined them as soon as I could, for I knew that something must be very wrong.
What exactly were you doing in the laboratory?
I was recording an experiment for my thesis.
あ、あったん
I
確か
only
に。
stopped my work once when Mr. Hamish visited me briefly around 10 o'clock.
You say you were recording an experiment when the tragedy occurred. Might I listen to the roll?
Certainly. Please do. You will find it in the laboratory. It is number 320.
Thank you, miss.
確かに聞いたな。
Everyone has gone, Holmes. The way is clear.
.違うな。胞子を追い込む。脱出する。
When Montague Dunn was standing close by the plants, the caterpillars were released and caused the deadly spores to activate. Panicking, and likely already half asphyxiated, Montague Dunn started back and knocked over the bust. He rushed to the door, but it was locked. He had to force it open with his shoulder. We already know the outcome. Montague Dunn collapsed and died not far from the pool. Well, it is time to perform our experiment on the ventilation system.
そうですね。換気装置。どっちだっけ？こっちで合ってた気がするな、確か。あれだ。
First of all, I need to visit the Colonial Collection Room to see how those caterpillars dropped onto the deadly plants.
めんどくせー。そっちからかよー。こっから見るの？
The caterpillars could only fall from the ventilation duct. Our caterpillars are in place. I'll activate the ventilation system so that they fall down. Watson, stay here and observe.
All right, Holmes.
The power is on. The engine cannot be started whilst the transmission is active. The engine has started. The ventilation system is working. Seed house.
見えねえな。来てるね。
Now we need to see if we can activate the fans from Mr. Hamish's and Albert's space.
こっからはできるんじゃねえかな。
Excellent. This ventilation fan is working. Let us see if I can activate the other one.
ここか。
We can see the interior of the Colonial Collection Room from this window. Perfect. Now I just need to find Watson to check the result.
It works perfectly, Holmes. Bravo. Now, if you could just help me to get rid of these caterpillars.
Perfect. Now we know how the murder of Montague Dunn was carried out, by activating both Albert's and Mr. Hamish's fans.
But only from Mr. Hamish's workplace would it be possible to see when Montague Dunn entered the Colonial Collection Room.
まあこういうことよな。よし。でもって、やっぱまだあれか。新鮮なる組合のところになんかあんのかまだ。まああれを見つけたからな、とりあえず。
The list of plant friends and benefactors, lawyers, well-known manufacturers, political leaders.
飯なかったな。
A vast amount of opium.
もうちょっとあの人に聞く必要があるのが同志に。
You came to make a donation?
This must be Triwan, the Divine Syndicate's god.
うん。なんかよくわかんないけど。これで全部かな。もう一回同士に聞くか。
Do you have friends at Kew Gardens?
None. Not worthy there.
違う。あれ
None. Not worthy there.
Nevertheless, we have seen Kew Gardens flower pots in your yard. How could they happen to be there?
What?
Our sacred place you permitted yourself to search. Sacrilege.
No, really now. There was a theft of plants at Kew Gardens a matter of days ago, and we believe the pots we found here may be connected with it. Please tell us, were you involved?
No. Those plants were ours. They had stolen them from us.
How so?
Their director, Dump, I believe.
Done.
Yes, that's what I said. He borrowed from us 3 of our sisters for the exhibition at his green fly-infested gardens. But he never gave them back to us. Excuses and imbecility. So we went in and saved them.
I see. So, if you stole those rare plants from them, then it means... Ah, I get it. Bravo, Holmes. I think the case is solved.
No, we did not steal. We saved. Well, as a matter of fact, we were unable to find our 3 plants.
I beg your pardon. And yet you took all of the exotic plants from the stand.
They had disappeared. It was the least we could do. They stole our sisters, and so
No,
we stole
no.
theirs.
Well, we will leave you to your...
そうやな。
Let's go to Scotland Yard.
まあ、しょうがないよね、とりあえずね。今回だってしょうがないな。デストレードさん、どこだったっけ、確か。
Inspector, I believe that Martin Hamish is guilty of the murder of Montague Dunn.
Aha! I knew it. I'll send the lads around to arrest him.
Very good. I shall wait to hear from you.
さあ、
Inspector, I came here as quickly as I could.
Martin Hamish is in the large glass house. There's no need to hurry.
本当かい？それはどういうことだ？死んでんじゃねえか、あいつ。やっぱりー！
Yes, we found him like that.
Our messing
も
around with the ventilation system didn't go unnoticed. Mr. Hamish realized that we knew.
Inspector, could you arrange the body, please? I should like to examine it.
う、なんてこったい。と言いたいが、
The mark around the neck is very visible. He died instantly.
Hmm. ほう。 なんかおかしいな、靴の裏が。
Holmes, his left shoe is unique. This anomaly is often a characteristic of...
A club foot. Bravo, Watson. That is the key element of this case.
あ、なんか足跡あったな、変な足跡。確かに。うん。
Something about this rings very
うん、
oddly.
確かにな。
Why do you say that, Mr. Holmes?
Why? Because of Mr. Hamish's club foot. Oh, I deserve to be kicked from here to Charing Cross. I should have noticed it.
But, Mr. Holmes, I can't see why.
No, I don't suppose you do. You must recall that Mr. Dunn was locked inside the Colonial Collection Room by the murderer. If it was Mr. Hamish, he would have had to run up to his workplace to trigger the fan situated above it, taking into consideration the condition of his foot.
Well, it is still possible.
Perhaps, but it is rather strange that such a person as Mr. Hamish decided to base his plan on the speed of his gait.
You mean to say that somebody helped him?
So the suicide is questionable?
Correct. Mr. Hamish accuses only himself in his letter, and so the investigation stops.
Possibly an accomplice, then? That idea had not occurred to me, Mr. Holmes.
I have another idea, Inspector. Thanks to the testimony that we have collected, we are able to rebuild the events as they took place that day.
With a timeline, such as we did in the Jack the Ripper case.
Precisely.
The map at the entrance of Kew Gardens should help us with our timeline.
そう
Let
な
us
の？
analyze the facts and statements so that we may recreate the events.
はあ。うん。12時20分、10時20分前か。9時40分ってことか。うん。 これ合ってんのか。よくわかんねえ。あれなんかおかしいな。これなんで合わないんだこれ綺麗にこれ。ここまで合ってる。これ違うのか。一回見して。戻ってる。やっぱあったはずだけどこれでな、本当に。こうじゃないか？おかしいな。そうだよね。ここが違うのか。ヘイミッシュはこれか。10時にした。ここが逆なのか。これで合ってる？これで合ってるのか。これで正解か。よし。やった、当たったわ。
Montague Dunn was poisoned inside the Colonial Collection Room. He forced open the door, which means that someone locked him inside there at 10:20. Martin Hamish was last seen at 10:10. This means that he has approximately 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room. Given that he was club-footed, it is doubtful. Albert also has 10 minutes to lock the door of the Colonial Collection Room, which is quite enough time. Miss White was last seen at 10 o'clock,
うん。
which
そう
means
や
that
な。
she had approximately 20 minutes to lock the door.
確かにな。
More than enough time. Perfect, Watson. Now, let us ascertain who assisted Martin Hamish in killing Montague Dunn.
まあな。まあ方面かな。うん。競合は確かにまあ同情に値するとこはあるね。
But Holmes, how can you be certain that we'll find Miss White here?
It is obvious, Watson. Just use your brain.
I am using it. I do use it.
Now that the rope has tightened around Martin Hamish, Miss White must act to erase all traces
という
of
こと
the
はここのやつ
implication.
か。
After the suicide of her accomplice, there is one final trace remaining. The deadly plants of the Divine Syndicate.
なるほど。
Will be there.
Very good. Shall we go?
Just one moment. Now listen to me, Watson. I shall see her alone. You will conceal yourself behind her, quietly.
Whatever are you planning?
Nothing spectacular. The impulses of women have always been a mystery to me. But she is a bold one, and so we must be cautious.
なるほ
All
ど。
right. You can count on me, Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, good day to you.
You do not seem surprised, Miss White.
Well, I was
待ってた
expecting
のかよ。
Not for too long, I believe. So please tell me, as it is still unclear, who planned the murder? Was it you?
you were wrong, Mr.
違う
Holmes.
な。
It was Martin Hamish, then. You managed to convince him to take on a more prominent role.
You could not be further from the truth.
You think that you can fool me?
You don't care what I think.
I am not blaming you, Miss White. You are a young and brilliant woman, trapped in a dull and hostile world. Life has never been easy. Men, in particular.
You... It is hopeless.
Indeed. Well, it may be true that I cannot yet change the world, but I can spare your life.
My life. There is nothing left to save. I have lost everything. Do you hear me? Everything! And you were just like all the others. You would abuse and take advantage of a vulnerable woman.
I hardly think so. Now just listen to me.
I've tried so hard, but I have had enough.
Miss White, no!
これを食べさせるためか。
I beg you not to do this, Miss White.
Don't come any closer.
このためのワトソンか。
Please remain calm. We can help you.
Not one step further. Don't try to stop me.
Stop this foolishness. You cannot truly want to die.
こんなのがあると思わなかった
It's
な。
too late.
Nice! Nice, Watson!
Well done, Watson. She was not faking.
Miss White, you have no right to take your own life.
Dr. Watson? Did you just save me? Or worse?
いやいや。よし。なんとか止められた。あ
Where are you going?
はい、ということでね。はい、ということで今回はここまでになります。皆様お疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。長時間。ちょうど3時間ぐらいでしたけどもね。おかげで、2つの事件を、解決することができました。よかったです。いつもね、1本でちょっときついなと思ったんですけど、まあ、最初の事件はね、そんなに難しくなかったんですけどもね、次の事件は結構、ちょっと難解でしたね。まあ、容疑者はね、最初から絞られてたんですけども、まあけどまさかね、ちょっと副園長を名乗ってたあの人が死んじゃうと思わなかったんでね、あれがちょっとびっくりしました。ここで多分次が最後になるんですかね、6つ目の事件になるんで、最後だと思いますけども、まあただわかんないんでね、とりあえずまあ、次の、配信を楽しみになさってください。一応次はね、23日月曜日の、14時ぐらいからまたこちらの方やりますんで、よろしければご覧いただけると嬉しいです。またね、配信以外の日は基本的に18時から、ゲーム実況の動画を上げておりますので、よろしければご覧になってください。あと、まあちょっと余談になりますけどもね、個人的にやってるツイッチの方での配信やってるんですけども、そちらの方では明日からゴースト・オブ・ツシマのね、ディレクトとカットの方をやりますので、もしお時間の方は見ていただけると嬉しいです。それではまた次の動画日ライブ配信でお会いしましょう。さよなら、お疲れ様でした。ありがとうございました。